A lot of people ask how much they need to save to be able to retire when they want to retire. But I found that it's not as easy as that. There's some questions that are more important that you should be asking before you ask how much you should be saving to be able to retire. Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Jen. I'm glad you're here. In today's video, I'm going to talk about one of the most important steps to figuring out how much you need to save for retirement. And this video really doesn't have a lot to do with any financial aspect. In case you know you're thinking it's going to be big numbers. That's not what we're doing in this first step. The first step is going to look like deciding what kind of retirement you really want to have. Because retirement can look a lot different if you are planning on hanging out around your house, living a cozy lifestyle, compared to traveling all over the world. That looks entirely different. When we talk about retirement with so-called retirement planning experts, they have a tendency to say things like, well, how much do you live on now? Is that comfortable to live on? And then, take, I don't know, 4 times or something along those lines, your income and save that, and then figure out how it's figure out 25% of that. And once you have that much money, then you're set if you have it in retirement. That's extremely confusing to me. That doesn't tell me squat. That doesn't tell me whether or not I'm going to be able to travel the world and or the country, or will I have enough money to buy a retirement home in another country. That really saying, oh, you can live on, figure out what your income is and then, multiply it by 4 and you have to save this much. And that really is not a way that I want to look at how to plan for retirement. So this first step that I'm bringing to you is to figure out what retirement looks like for you. What do you want your retirement to look like? Are you planning on selling your home and moving somewhere else? Are you planning on trying to travel all over the world? Is your dream retirement to buy a house in the country and homestead? What does that retirement look like for you? And I want you to write it down. Write it down so you know what you're looking at as far as what you envision for retirement. These days, the idea of retirement has taken on different meanings also. Retirement used to be, you would stop your job at 65 and, does that mean you're going to kick back and, relax with your feet up all day long when you turn 65 and be able to live on whatever you've saved? Or are you looking at retirement in a different light, where you decide you want to become self-employed, or you just want to work a job that gives you freedom to do the things that you really want to do in life. The job would just be supplementing something that you would get, such as, Social Security or any pensions or retirement funding that you already have. When you're envisioning what retirement looks like for you, ask yourself, what will a day in retirement look like for me? What time are you going to get up? What do you plan on doing that day? And for those of you that are married or have a partner, what ask your partner to do the same thing, because your retirement and your partner's retirement could look a lot different. And that's where things begin to get complicated. If the ideal retirement for you is to travel around the world, yet your partner doesn't want to do that, say your partner wants to continue working, how does that work? This is going to have to be a conversation that you and your partner have, what retirement looks like, and to each of you, and how you're going to work through those things. If you're envisioning a retirement where you want to travel around the world and your partner does not want to do that, are you comfortable with traveling the world on your own, or with friends, or with other family members? And is your partner comfortable with being alone for the amount of time that you are traveling? That's going to be something that you and your partner are going to have to work out. Once you and your partner have discussed what each of you envision for retirement and determined how you're going to make retirement happen for both of you, as far as, are you going to compromise, or are you going to, however you want to do that. This is not relationship advice. That's on you to figure that out. But once you've got an idea of what you want for retirement, what your partner wants for retirement, then you can begin to ask yourself, how much is this lifestyle going to cost? There's a huge difference between downsizing, moving into a smaller home, moving into a smaller area to live, doing something like that, between that and travel or wanting luxury items when you're retired. Another thing you may want to ask yourself is, besides what your day looks like, what is your lifestyle going to be? Are you going to be going out and buying all the expensive things? Because that is going to make a huge difference in how much you need to save for retirement. Another thing that I would encourage you to do is to not copy somebody else's retirement goals. And what I mean by that is, well, my parents bought an RV and they like to go travel the country. They have gone to all kinds of other countries, and they've taken their RV to Alaska. They are currently in Canada right now, I believe. That type of a lifestyle can be a little more expensive. If you're not necessarily interested in that type of travel, you wouldn't necessarily want to copy somebody else's retirement. That is their retirement goals. My retirement is a little bit different than that. And I did actually take the time to write down what I would like to do in my retirement. My retirement looks like I love this home and this land, but I really would like to have a smaller home when I retire. I don't need this much space. And if I could move the house somewhere else and put a tiny home right here, that would be awesome. But I also would like to live in an area that sees a longer growing season, because I do want to homestead to some extent. I do want to be able to raise chickens. I want to have a larger garden. I'd like to be able to have a greenhouse that I can use in the winter and the colder months so that I can be a little more self-sufficient. And I do like going camping. One of the things that I love to do was to go to concerts and do all kinds of things like that. And there are places like one of my bucket list items is to go to Red Rocks. I want to say it's in Colorado. I could be wrong. The Red Rock Amphitheater. I would love to do that. And I mean, I don't need to wait to retirement to do that, but that's one of the things that I really would like to do. And something to that is going to be kind of expensive. So, if I want to travel, it's going to be fairly expensive. So I need to take that into account. And I also need to take into account other things that I envision for myself. So if I was to sell this house and move somewhere else, am I going to have the time and energy to build or put up another house, or do I want to move into somewhere where it's already um where there's already a home? I don't know if you guys can see as far over here, but I've got a bird feeder right here, and I might move the camera. I have a hummingbird feeder right here, and I've got two hummingbirds fighting over it. All right, I'll put that like that so you guys can watch the hummingbirds fighting. So I want to know what your thoughts are on this whole retirement dilemma. The first step for me, as far as figuring out when I'm going to retire, is to figure out what retirement looks like. And then one of the next things I'm going to do is attach money to the lifestyle that I want to live. I want to, if I want to move somewhere warmer, I need to figure out what the cost is for that. And the type of things that I want to do. If I do want to travel, I'm going to need to be able to figure that out. So the first step, and we're going to take baby steps. I'll have some other videos coming up talking about retirement and how much you'll need. But this is the first one, and this is the most important step, is to figure out what retirement's actually going to look like for you before you can figure out how much you're going to really need to live on. The first thing you want to do is get an estimate of how long you think you might live and what types of things you want to do in retirement, and what that looks like. Are you going to work part-time and rely on pensions of various sorts to cover the rest of your stuff? Are you going to travel? Are you going to be a homebody and garden? Are you going to be interested in homesteading or living off grid, which may cost a lot more money than you might anticipate? So anyways, I would love to know what you guys think. Please leave your ideas in the comment section below. If you like this video, please hit the like button. And as I said, I'm going to be talking about doing a retirement series with some other videos that do actually go into how much you're going to want to try to save for retirement based on the conversation we just had today. If you're interested in seeing more of this, please hit the subscribe button. I thank you for watching today, and I will see you in the next video.